Hey everybody! Welcome back to Storytime! Can you guess what holiday I'm celebrating today? My shamrocks, my leprechaun, and my flag. I am celebrating St. Patrick's Day, that's right! And I'm Irish, so I love St. Patrick's Day. You can tell by my blonde hair and my green eyes. Well, I'm glad that the color of St. Patrick's Day changed from blue to green hundreds of years ago, because green is my favorite color. Why is green the color of St. Patrick's Day? Well, Ireland is a really wet and rainy place, so there's lots of clovers, shamrocks, and grass growing all the time. It's green. So green is associated with St. Patrick and his holiday. Before I read the story, let's talk a little bit about St. Patrick. Who was he? Well, St. Patrick is not his original name. When he was born, his name was Maiwin-Succat. Could you imagine saying, Happy Maiwin-Succat Day? Well, not really. A lot of times, when people become a Christian, they will change their name to associate a new life. So he changed his name to Patrick. So St. Patrick, who used to be called Maiwin-Succat, was a saint born in a long, long time ago. St. Patrick was born in the year 373 AD. Wait, not 1300s, but the 300s. He was born in the 300s. That is a long, long time ago. So why are we still celebrating him now? More than 1,000 years later. Crazy, huh? Well, he did a lot of good things, and he's remembered for several things. One is the shamrock, and he would use the shamrock to teach about the Christian faith, because one God, three parts, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also associated with St. Patrick's Day are leprechauns, which we'll talk about in the next story. Also, a lot of people like to go to parades and wave an Irish flag. The Irish flag has 3 rectangles. The green represents the Roman Catholic faith, which is the majority of Irish people. And the orange represents the Protestant faith and people who follow William Orange. And in the middle, we have everlasting peace and hope for a union between the two. So I'm going to take my Irish flag and put it right here in my shamrock St. Patrick's Day tree. It's not a Christmas tree, it's a St. Patrick's Day tree. So today we're going to read St. Patrick's Day in the Morning by Eve Bunting and illustrated by Jan Brett. Parades are a great way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. When there's not a pandemic, I love to go to St. Patrick's Day parades. St. Patrick's Day in the morning, that beautiful Irish scene by Eve Bunting and illustrated by Jan Brett. And it's a Clarion Books publication from New York. Oh, look at him. He's coming out of his nice warm bed. And there's a puppy. Shall we start the story? Jamie wakened early and remembered that it was St. Patrick's Day. He climbed carefully over his big brother Kevin and his bigger brother Sean. The stairs were cold on his bare feet. The kitchen was cold too. The fireplace full of dead ashes like chalk. Nell, the sheepdog, lay in the rocker. Here, Nell! Jamie tried to snap his fingers the way Sean did. Nell uncurled herself from the cushions. Jamie sat in the warm spot where she'd slept. St. Patrick's Day in the morning. The green sashes were laid out on the table. The big one was his dad's. The next biggest was Sean's. The next biggest was Kevin's. Their fringes were crusted with gold. There was no sash for Jamie. It's not fair, Nell, Jamie said. I want to walk in the parade too. They say I'm too small, that I couldn't get to the top of Acorn Hill. But what do they know? Have you ever been told you couldn't do something because you're too small? Yeah, me too. Jamie slid off the chair. His mother's raincoat hung behind the door. He put it on. He put on his dad's black hat and Sean's sash. He took Kevin's flute from the dresser. Come on, Nell, Jamie said. Outside, the mountains were as green as cat's eyes. Clouds hung in tatters around their tops. Head up, chest out, Jamie said. Follow me. They marched down the street. None of the chimneys was smoking yet. Milk bottles stood out on front steps, waiting to be let in. Kit Kelly's donkey put her head over her gate. "A happy St. Pat's to you, donkey dear," Jamie said. He lifted his hat the way his dad did to the ladies. Kit Kelly's donkey curled her lip. "Silly donkey," Jamie said. "What do you know?" The sky was the color of his mother's pearl brooch, the one she wore on Sundays. Jamie marched down the middle of Main Street, past the shuttered shops. Almost everyone's still sleeping, it's so early. Barney the baker was a white blur behind his window. There was a whiff of bread baking. Nell turned her head toward the smell and drooled. "Come on, Nell," Jamie said. Hubble the hen man trundled his wheelbarrow along the footpath. His eggs were piled in it, all brown and white. "Good morning to you," Jamie said. "I see your hens are laying well." "It's the sweet corn and the sweet talk I feed them," Hubble said. "Pick yourself an egg, Jamie." Jamie took a brown one off the top. It was still warm from the hen. "Happy St. Pat's," Jamie said and lifted his hat. He put the egg safe in his pocket. Jamie and Nell walked under the arches that spanned the street. Jamie wet the end of the flute with his spit, like Kevin did. Then he blew on it, and oh, the sound he made! He puffed his cheeks. His fingers danced across the windholes. Nell howled and put her tail down. Silly Nell, and what did she know? Mad old Mrs. Mulligan threw open her window and leaned out. "Save us all," she yelled. "It's the terrible noise you're making, Jamie Donovan." She banged her window shut. That mad old Mrs. Mulligan, and what did she know? Mrs. Mulligan's big red rooster cock-a-doodle-dooed from the roof. His wattle rattled, and Nell howled again. It was as good as a chorus to go with the music. Jamie was sorry there was no one to hear but mad old Mrs. Mulligan. It was hard climbing up Acorn Hill with all Jamie's breath going into the music. He'd better save his strength for the marching. He put the flute over his shoulder and stepped out. Mrs. Sims of the halfway up sweet shop leaned out her half door. "You're the early ones," she said. "Come on in, Jamie. You likely could use some refreshments." The halfway up sweet shop. Jamie's head came to the level of Mrs. Sims' counter. Bottles of ginger ale stood on it. When he looked through, everything was orange. Mrs. Sims gave him a bottle all for himself. She gave him a bun with a cherry on top, too. Nell let her tongue hang out and begged nicely, and Mrs. Sims threw her 2 jelly beans. Jamie ate his bun. He put the ginger ale bottle in his other pocket, the one that wasn't carrying the egg. "Here's a wee flag for you, too," Mrs. Sims said. "You can wave it later on at the parade." Jamie sniffed. Mrs. Sims was nice. But what did she know? Wasn't this the parade, this very minute, and him in it? He took the flag anyway. "We'll have to be getting on, Mrs. Sims," he said. "We've a brave bit still to go." "Aye," Mrs. Sims said. "You'll be saving a good place for yourselves, for the watching." Jamie nodded. "Come on now." He has his flag, just like my flag, with the green, the white, and the orange. The flute was getting awful heavy on Jamie's shoulder. He held the flag out in front of him. It was a very small flag, but it felt heavy, too. "Don't be giving up now, Nell," Jamie puffed. "We're nearly there." They turned the sweep of Acorn Hill, and they were there. Jamie stopped. "Look, Nell." They made it. Everyone thought he was too little, but he made it. In front of them was the field where the bands would be and the stage for the Irish dancing. There was a green ribbon around the platform to keep people off. Jamie crept under it. He sat right in the middle of the stage. and Nell lay beside him. The sun was coming up. Jamie took the cap off his ginger ale and drank. He poured some in his hand for Nell, and all of them were saying, "I was too small," he said. What do they know? The sun jumped up like a firecracker from behind the mountain. "A happy St. Pat's to you, son," Jamie shouted. The words made a great shimmer of sound in the emptiness. Jamie pushed Nell's head from his knees and stood up. The last drop of ginger ale was gone from the bottle. He stuck the green and yellow flag in it. Then he put the bottle right in the middle of the stage. "See," he told Nell, "that means we were here first. We did it. No matter what they said, now we can go on home." It was easy going down Acorn Hill. There was nothing to it at all. The town was waking up. Some of the chimneys were smoking, and the milk bottles had been let in. But Jamie's own house was still asleep. He opened the back door. The clock tick-tocked. The turf ashes lay in their white drifts. Jamie took off his mother's coat. He set Hubble's egg on the table. He climbed in the rocker and Nell jumped beside him. He laid the flute across his knees and closed his eyes. Oh, the music he'd made. They'd not hear the likes of it all day, and wait till they saw the flag. The mystery of it, the wondering there would be. There were feet coming down the stairs, but his eyes were too heavy to lift and look. "Och, our Jamie!" Kevin's voice was soft. "Sound asleep, and with the sash and the flute and our dad's black hat. Are you sad now? And you not big enough to walk in the parade?" Jamie kept his eyes closed and smiled. Silly Kevin, and what did he know? The end of the story. Did you like that story? Did it remind you that no matter how small you are, you can do really neat things? Even sometimes when people think you're too small. But you probably shouldn't sneak out by yourself. It's a good thing he had friends along the way, right? Well, I hope everyone has a very happy St. Patrick's Day. And don't forget to wear green so you can't get pinched. And don't forget about my Woonsocket. Who's that? St. Patrick, that's right. And don't forget about the shamrock, the symbol of St. Patrick and St. Patrick's Day. I hope everyone has a great holiday. Bye. Happy St. Patrick's Day.